Hey everybody, this is Roberto Blake of robertoblake.com helping you create something awesome today. So today, I'm going to talk to you about the importance of building a personal brand and why it really matters. In the year 2015, we're at a point where more people are talking about this, but it's always been a thing. It's not something new. And I want people to get that out of their head that, oh, now you need a personal brand. It's always been that way for the most part if you truly want to have control over your success, control over your career. You really do need to brand yourself and market yourself effectively. It's always been that way. And even if you don't ever aspire to run your own business or be a freelancer or be an entrepreneur or solopreneur of any kind, even if you want to work a 9-to-5 job and have a solid, steady career for the rest of your life, you still need a personal brand. And I'm going to help you understand that by clarifying what I mean by the fact that you need a personal brand. A brand, which marketers tell this the wrong way sometimes, and that's why no one gets it. But if you're going to simplify what your brand is, then your brand is what people say and think about you, whether you're in the room or not. And so when we're talking about your personal branding, we're talking about the story that's being told about you. And where did that story, what is your origin story? What is that narrative? And where are people getting off and spinning that? And where does it start? Where does it really begin? And what information and what content are they going off of to begin to have the fuel for these stories that go on and on and on? And that comes down to, are you letting someone else dictate what your brand is, what you're known for? Or did you establish that and did you make that firm in people's minds so that the story is consistent going forward? And that's the point of a personal brand. When we talk about that with regard to an online presence, we're kind of talking a little bit of trying to control what comes up when people do a Google search for you. And if you're not putting out content, if you don't have your social media profiles in order, you're leaving a lot to chance. You're letting whatever the internet decides is important about you be what people have to go off of. If you're not framing the conversation, if you're not making sure that the pictures of you that exist on the internet are, pictures that you would feel comfortable with, then that can be problematic when people go ahead and they do a search for you. If you're not, having a professional or at least a reasonably neutral profile picture in the majority of your social media profiles, that could be problematic because if you do something zany or you have your face like, or something like that, and people just happen to come across it, it's not necessarily going to tell the story or make the impression that you want that person to have of you, depending on the relationship you want to build with them or if you want to establish your credibility. I made a point of marketing and branding myself effectively a long time ago. I can't even remember how long ago. Maybe it was a decade, maybe it was more. Before Google even got going, I started thinking about what is the story that people are going to tell about me, and I acted accordingly, and I made sure that my online presence was in line with that. When Google really became a thing, I paid even more attention to it because I understood that it would become important. I made sure and established social media profiles that were consistent and reflected what I want people to understand about me and what I want them to know, and that they can see that I'm being transparent and that I'm being consistent, whether it's in a YouTube video, whether it's the conversations I'm having in Twitter, whether it's the things that I'm sharing in Instagram and Google+, whether it's this information in my LinkedIn profile, that you can see the continuity and you can see that I'm doing what makes sense for that platform, but I'm not putting on a show. I'm being who I really am, and I'm showing the results that I'm producing, and that's what I'm known for in terms of my personal brand. I'm known for, what I convey and what I put out there, and the fact that it focuses on creativity, consistency, and context. And it's because I dictated that narrative. And so that's the story that people have to tell about me. So when you're thinking about the fact that you need to develop a personal brand, it doesn't come down to you having a logo. It doesn't come down to you having a catchphrase or a slogan. What it really comes down to is you thinking about what your core values are and what you want to communicate. When we think about brands like Apple and Nike, we have a very clear vision of what they represent in our mind. I want you to think about what you want representing you when people are having a conversation about you. What do they have to go off of? What are the 3 words, if anything, that they're associating with you? Is it your title? Is it the things that you've done? Is it your greatest accomplishments? Is it something that you've set up in their mind or a phrase that's associated with you or a quote that's associated with you. I want you to start thinking about what those things are, what they could be, and what they should be. And I want you to understand that the value that it has in your career, if you're a career professional and you never want to be an entrepreneur, that it makes sense because when it's time for you to go ahead and go to the next job, you need to have that authority established and your name needs to go before you and your reputation matters. And your personal brand might be your reputation in that regard. It might be your LinkedIn profile. It might be the fact that you were never outgoing and that you never established a name in the industry beyond just what you were doing within your company or organization. It needs to go further than that, because what if you somehow end up souring that relationship? Then all that work you've done for those 3 or 5 years is all for nothing because you have no other point of reference to establish your authority, your credibility, and the results you produce. So even if you're a career professional, you need to be doing your own work on the side as far as personal projects in the context of what you do. So if you're a writer, that means that you need to be writing some stuff on your own, probably in medium.com. If you're a designer, you need to be doing personal projects that you're posting in Behance. You need to figure out what makes sense for you to develop a body of work and develop a narrative for your personal brand, for your skills, for your passion, for your career. You need to figure out what that looks like, and you need to act accordingly, and you need to really get the ball rolling there so that when it's time for you to get an opportunity, that you're not necessarily beholden to the story that someone else is going to tell about you. You're not limited to that. So I want you to understand that developing your personal brand is about you dictating the narrative and putting people in a position to tell a consistent story about you and to have a consistent experience of you and to have their thoughts about who you are framed in a way that's advantageous to you while also being authentic and genuine. Well, I hope you guys understand the value and the power of a personal brand now. Remember that if nothing else, with the things that I've been able to do, I would say that there's opportunities and times when one piece of content has literally changed my whole life. And I want you to understand that that's something that could happen for you as well. And that if you're not putting things out there in the world, if you're not creating awesome things and sharing them, then you're limiting the chances for that to happen and for tremendous change and growth to happen in your life. Anyway, like this video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. Check out the other awesome content on the channel. As always, you guys, thanks so much for watching, and don't forget, create something awesome today.